It started like any other night. I was 17, a senior in high school, and gaming was my escape. I had my Xbox set up in my room, the glow from the TV casting soft shadows against the walls. Halo 3 was my game of choice. It had been for years. I was good at it, part of a tight-knit online group of friends who met up for matches every night after dinner. I remember that night vividly because everything felt normal at first. The same routine, the same maps, the same voices in my headset. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Something that would haunt me for years. That it was around 9 p.m. on a Friday. The house was quiet except for the hum of the Xbox and the occasional sound from my little brother playing in the living room. I was alone in my room, headphones on, mic ready. I logged into Xbox Live and jumped into a lobby with a few familiar gamerdigs I recognized. We started a few matches of Team Slayer. The banter was casual, the usual jokes and trash talk flying back and forth. But then a new player joined the lobby. His gamer tag was something generic, like Silent Shadow or Ghost X. I don't exactly remember. But what stuck with me was that he never spoke. No mic, no text messages. Just silent dot in online games. It's not uncommon to see players who don't talk. Some are shy, some just prefer to listen. At first, we didn't pay much attention. But as the matches went on, something felt off. The guy started to follow me relentlessly in the game. In every map, every spawn point, he would appear behind me, staring, waiting. It was like he was obsessed. Other players joked about it, but I felt a pit form in my stomach every time I saw him pop up behind me. I tried to shrug it off, telling myself it was just a game, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Then, during one match, my screen suddenly froze for a second. My controller vibrated wildly. When everything came back, the player, Silent Shadow, was still there, but his character was standing still, looking directly at me. No other player did that after the match ended. I left the lobby, hoping to avoid the creep. But he found me again. In the next game, same silence, same behavior. It was like he was hunting me. I started feeling paranoid. I double-checked my Xbox privacy settings, blocking him and muting him. But each time, he seemed to rejoin the same lobbies I was in, following me like a ghost. One night, after a long session, I got a message from an unknown Xbox Live account. I read, "I see you." My heart dropped. I blocked the account immediately, but the damage was done. The feeling of being watched had crossed over from the game into reality. That night, I kept looking over my shoulder. Every time I heard footsteps in the hallway or the creak of a door, I jumped. Sleep was impossible. My mind raced, imagining the worst. Someone outside my window, watching, waiting out the next day. I told my parents I wanted to take a break from gaming. But the obsession didn't end there. A few days later, while walking home from school, I noticed a man standing across the street. He wore a hoodie, hands in pockets, face mostly shadowed. But something about his stance felt wrong. He didn't move as I passed, just stared. That same week, strange things started happening on my Xbox. Random glitches, the screen flickering, controller buttons responding by themselves. At one point, I heard a faint whisper in my headset. So quiet, I thought. I imagined it. I tried to tell my friends about the Stalker, but most thought I was overreacting. Online games attract weirdos, they said. Just block and ignore. But this felt different. This felt dangerous. One night, the power in my house flickered and went out. My Xbox shut off mid-game. The room went pitch black, except for the streetlight. Outside my window, casting long shadows. Suddenly, a soft tapping sound came from the window. I froze. I didn't dare move. My phone was in the living room charging, too far to reach. The tapping continued, slow and deliberate. After what felt like forever, it stopped. I pulled the curtains closed and locked the window. My hands trembled. The next day, I found strange messages on my phone. Texts from an unknown number. "Why do you hide? Can't run from me. No one will believe you." I showed my parents. They were alarmed, but unsure what to do. They called the police, who promised to patrol the neighborhood. Days passed and the stalking slowed. The messages stopped, but the fear never went away. Months later, I learned that Silent Shadow was linked to a man living just a few blocks away from me. A guy with a history of online harassment, and he was arrested shortly after. Even now, years later, I can't play Xbox Live without feeling that cold dread creeping back. I never shared this story before, but I hope it warns others to take these things seriously. The lines between online and real life can blur in terrifying ways. It was a few months after I started college, and gaming had become my primary way to unwind. I was part of a competitive Call of Duty clan, and most nights were filled with voice chats, strategy talks, and heated matches. Our group had a few core members, but we often let newcomers join if they seemed good and respectful. One night, a new player showed up in our private lobby with the Gamerte Night Watcher. We barely knew him, but his skills were undeniable. His kill-death ratio was off the charts, and he quickly gained respect in the group. But right from the start, something about him made my skin crawl. Night Watcher never used his mic. At first, we thought maybe he was shy or had technical problems, but he always seemed to be watching, not just in the game. His presence felt off. He'd wait silently in lobbies, rarely participating in the banter. When we played together, he'd often shadow me, sticking close to my character. Sometimes even refusing to take kills if I got the last shot. It was like he wanted to protect me, or control me. At first, I thought it was just eccentric behavior. But then strange things began to happen outside the game. One evening, after an intense session, I received a message on Xbox Live from Night Watcher. It wasn't the usual DG or nice shot. It read, "I'm always here." That alone gave me chills. I replied cautiously, "Who are you?" No answer. That night, I kept hearing noises from my window. Scratching, tapping, like someone was trying to get my attention. My house backs onto a wooded area, so I thought it might be an animal. But the feeling of being watched wouldn't leave me the next day. Night Watcher sent another message. "Don't be afraid. I'm watching out for you." I blocked him immediately, but it didn't stop there. He started popping up in every game one played, even ones I wasn't in with the clan. He was everywhere. Lobbies, matches, even ranked playlists. It was like he was stalking me digitally. I told my friends, but most brushed it off. Just ignore him, they said. He's probably some weirdo. But I couldn't ignore the messages. One night, I was playing late when my Xbox froze mid-game. The screen flickered, then went black. My controller started vibrating uncontrollably. Then, my headset crackled with static. Suddenly, a voice came through, low, distorted, and chilling. You can't hide from me. I ripped off my headset, heart pounding. The power came back on, but I was too scared to continue. I turned off my Xbox and went to bed. But sleep was impossible. The following days were a blur of paranoia and fear. I kept checking my windows, locking doors twice. My parents noticed the change in me and asked what was wrong, but I didn't want to scare them. One afternoon, I found a note slipped under my front door. It read, "I see you." I called the police and filed a report. They promised to investigate, but said it was hard to track someone online unless there was direct threat or evidence. Meanwhile, Night Watcher's online stalking escalated. He created multiple accounts, too. Bypassed blocks and kept sending messages like, "You belong to me. You can't run." One evening, after a particularly bad day, I was sitting at my desk when I heard footsteps outside my window. I peeked through the blinds and saw a man wearing a black hoodie, holding a phone, staring straight at my house. I froze. The police arrived after I called them, but the man was gone. Weeks later, I discovered that Night Watcher had been identified as a local man with a disturbing history, previous charges for stalking and harassment. Mostly online. He was arrested shortly after and banned from all online gaming platforms, but the trauma stayed. Now. Whenever I hear the faintest noise in the dark, my mind races. The gaming world, once my refuge, now feels like a place where shadows can creep into reality. Gaming had always been my safe place. I was a shy teenager growing up in a small town, awkward in social situations and struggling to connect with my peers. But online, in the sprawling world of ORPGs, I found a community where I could be myself, or at least someone I wanted to be. Over time, I joined mostly older players, men and women who welcomed me like family. They taught me the ropes, helped me level up, and made me feel included. Among them, I found a few close friends. People who seemed to genuinely care. Then one day, a new player joined our guild. Her username was Lunastar. She was quiet but friendly in chat, always helpful during raids and missions. I was happy to have another girl in the group, someone I could relate to better than the usual male crowd. We started chatting privately, mostly through direct messages in the game's social app at first. She seemed kind and supportive, always there to listen when I was feeling down or stressed. We bonded over shared interests, favorite game strategies, music, even personal stories. It felt like I'd finally found a true friend, but soon Lunastar's messages began to change. Subtle at first, a compliment here or there. You're so sweet. I'm glad we're friends. You're different from the others. Then came the questions about my life outside the game, my family, my school. I answered cautiously, feeling a strange mix of comfort and unease. One afternoon, out of nowhere, Lunastar asked me for a photo. Just a casual selfie, she said. To feel closer, I hesitated, but sent one anyway. I thought it was harmless. After all, she was a friend. The next messages made my stomach twist. She started sending pictures back, flattering but vaguely suggestive, and then began requesting more photos from me. Not just normal pictures, but things I wasn't comfortable sharing. It's just between us, she insisted. You can trust me, she said. I wanted to stop, to say no, but I felt trapped. Lunastar was persistent, sometimes angry when I refused. She made me feel guilty, like I was hurting her feelings or betraying our friendship. One night, the messages turned explicit. She asked me to send pictures that I knew were wrong. I blocked her immediately, heart pounding, but that was only the beginning of the nightmare. I confided in one of my closest guild friends, Mark, a guy in his late 20s who had always been protective of me. He was furious when he heard what happened and promised to help. Together, we tried to figure out who Lunastar really was. Mark dug into her profile and found inconsistencies. No real social media links, suspicious gaps in activity, odd times of login. We started suspecting Lunastar wasn't who she claimed to be. One night, during a raid, Mark messaged me urgently. He had contacted another guild member, Sarah, who had experience with online predators. Sarah had uncovered that Lunastar's account was linked to a man in his 40s, living not far from our town, someone with a record of online harassment. I felt sick. The friend I had trusted was a stranger, a predator hiding behind a fake profile. The guild immediately banned Lunastar's account and reported her to the game moderators. But the damage was done. I stopped trusting anyone online. Every new friend request or message filled me with anxiety. I felt violated, embarrassed, and angry. Mark stayed by my side, reminding me it wasn't my fault. He helped me block anyone suspicious and encouraged me to speak openly about my experience. Months passed, but the memory lingered like a scar. I struggled with paranoia, constantly checking who was in my lobbies, changing my privacy settings obsessively. One day, I got a message from a new account. You can't hide forever. Panic flooded me. I blocked and reported immediately. It was then that I realized how deep the darkness in the gaming world could go. Predators don't just lurk in shadows of the internet. They hide in the places where vulnerable people seek connection. Now, years later, I still play games, but with caution. I'm more guarded, more aware. I warn younger gamers about the dangers. hoping to protect others from what I went through. Lunistar was a lesson, a chilling reminder that behind a friendly username can lurk a dark agenda.